Okay, trial one. I have two bottles. They are both Sprite. This was regular Sprite. This was Sprite Zero. They are now empty. You can see that they're pretty much from the same mold, so they are identical aerodynamically. The only difference is the color. I'm going to go set those over there, get them set up to launch. They will launch at about 40 psi, and because they're connected to one pump, they will both be at 40 psi. Second trial. Okay, this time I've got the Sprite Zero bottle empty, only air. However, the regular Sprite bottle I have now filled about halfway up, maybe a little more. About halfway up with water. Not Sprite. Do not do this if you have the equipment. Do not do this with carbonated beverages. Not at all. Water is what you want to use. So, question is, now that I've changed them a little bit, which one will go higher? Remember, they are connected to the same pump, so they will be built up to the exact same pressure when I launch. Okay, so just a moment ago we saw the green bottle half filled with water and the clear bottle completely empty, and they went toe to toe. Now, it may have gone out of the frame of the camera, but keep in mind the one that goes higher is the one that takes longer to hit the ground. So you can go back and double check that, but the green one did actually end up going higher, which is a little strange because water is heavy. So if I added something heavy to it, why would it end up going higher? And that's part of the question. So let's keep going with that. Adding water seemed to help us out, so let's keep with the trend. Now the green one is almost completely filled with water. Lots of water, lots of good. We've got the clear one about halfway full. Let's see what happens with them. Okay, so you just saw one in which we had a mostly full bottle going up against a half-filled bottle. Now the mostly full bottle just seemed to kind of flop over. It didn't really go very far. So that flies in the face of our more water equals more height equals more awesome idea. Now you may be thinking, well, maybe it's just that much water is just too heavy. Maybe there's a breaking point. For that, I brought in something else. Now we've got the green one, once again, almost completely filled. I filled it once and then poured it into here, a much larger bottle. These bottles both have an identical amount or a pretty similar amount of water, give or take maybe a teaspoon or so. Regardless, they both got the same amount of water, so if it's simply that the water is just too heavy, both of them have the same amount of heavy water in them. We're going to see what happens when we launch these, and if it's just that the water's too much. Okay, I've changed the camera angle so you can get a bit of an idea. I'm pretty certain this last one went out of the frame of the camera. It went so high, and then the wind caught it a little bit, that it almost ended up on the roof of the school. In fact, you probably heard a thunk. That was it actually hitting on the windowsill and actually rolling down a little bit. It didn't hit with a large amount of force, it's just makes a lot of noise. So, the setup that I have is actually designed for 2-liter bottles. We can get a lot more out of them. I usually keep it at the smaller and easier to handle smaller ones. So take that as you will. But it shows we had a decent amount of water, the same as the green one, and this one still went probably the highest of any of the ones that we've seen today. So the question for you is, what's going on? What's the trade-off?